Okay, let's talk about Super Rush. Now, I wanted to make a proper, well-edited, well-put-together video to review this game, but I really don't have time at the moment, so pretty much I'm just gonna have to do this all unedited, no scripting or anything. But let's try and talk about my thoughts on the game a week later, I guess. So I guess first of all, when I first played this game, just when it had come out, I didn't feel very good about it after the first day or two. And that was mostly when I was just playing through story mode. But I think there are actually reasons for that, which I feel a bit differently about that a week later. And let's try and explain it a bit. So when I played through this, I didn't bother putting any stats into spin because I thought I didn't need it. I didn't realize that spin actually is incredibly useful in this game for shaping your shots and doing cool things. So I just didn't bother, which means the power bar only has one segment where you can apply spin. When your spin stat goes up, it splits into more segments and allows you to do different things with the ball. And I think that mechanic alone adds so much depth to this game that I completely missed during like a lot of the initial part of my playthrough. Can we go back to the main menu? So I did think the golf adventure... Wait. Also, it says I've got platinum badge there, but actually in-game says I've got gold. So I guess that's just because it never actually saves after the final boss. I thought in general Golf Adventure didn't have enough content. It was very repetitive in the end. You basically would do the same thing 2 or 3 times on every course. There were a few side games, but many of them were not very difficult. I think, like, the hardest part of this game, there was one putting challenge in Balmy Dunes or something. That was legitimately difficult. But that's because the putting physics in this game are a bit more realistic, I think. But otherwise, a lot of stuff was quite easy, quite repetitive. If anyone saw the playthrough that I did, I was kind of genuinely confused when the credits started playing, and I was just like, is that really the end? There's no way that's the end. But it was. I don't know if there was any reason I was expecting it to be a lot longer. I guess I was expecting there to be more variation between like standard golf and speed golf. The cross-country golf was actually really interesting. That was at Ridge Rock Lake. That was one of the better parts of the story mode, I thought. A lot of people seem to disagree with that, which is interesting. I think a lot of people struggle to figure out how to play that correctly. Certainly there are some things that really annoyed me about single player, like when you're playing with the CPU characters, and they're programmed to get a certain score, and often that means you're going to be waiting for them to finish up on holes, which could take a while after you've already finished, and that was kind of frustrating. I never really felt much of a need to change up my club set or my clothes. I don't know if I'm really missing out on anything there, but it just felt pointless trying to change anything, because, as I said, in general, it was pretty easy to complete most of the stuff. So I didn't feel like I needed any special clubs or anything. Something I noticed, my Mii character's clothes changed at some point after I restarted the game. I don't know why. She went from having trousers to having a skirt. I guess that's like some kind of bug. Because I don't see a way to change that. And I've not edited my Mii or anything. So yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. Is there anything else to talk about with the story mode? I guess the one thing a lot of people will be annoyed about is that they introduced the impact timing mechanic with the Master Duff side quest, which is never used for like anything other than the one lob wedge club. And you know, you have this seemingly random impact that's used everywhere else, and I know a lot of people complain about this because all of the previous Mario Golf games you would have to time your impact for every shot, which sort of adds a lot of skill to the game, and that's something I definitely thought was lacking when I was first playing this game, because it does feel like it's random. But we've kind of figured out since then, and you'll certainly figure it out if you're playing quite a lot, that it's actually not random at all. Like, you can predict exactly what shift, I guess they call it in the game, that you'll get on every shot that you play. I'm not sure if that applies online, because I haven't been able to play enough online games, but certainly in single player and multiplayer it's fully predictable, which is a good thing, because it means all you have to do is remember what shift you're going to get on every shot, and that basically completely removes any randomness from your shot making. I guess that brings me on to the next point that I wanted to talk about. Let's just get a character. Which is that so in the previous games, a lot of the depth in the mechanics was in the way you could make small changes to your impact point. In like Toadstool Tour, Advanced Tour, World Tour, you could put on top spin, back spin, etc. And what am I saying? The way that you would shape your shot. In this game, because they removed the impact timing, pretty much all of the depth is in the way that you shape your shot. And there are some really cool things that you can do with that because of the way the power bar is segmented when you have a higher spin stat. So one of the really cool things that was figured out is that you can, let's just see if I can give an example. Like, you can completely extend the length of your shot by hitting it low to start with, and then on the last segment of the power bar, making it rise or go a bit higher. I think people are calling that like a low riser or something. Apparently the CPU also plays those sorts of shots, but they're really useful for getting extra distance on your shots. Obviously, if you're in a difficult position, you can also use the multi-segments to put loads of curve on your ball. So in old games, you would never be able to make your ball like turn that far to the side unless it was like Mario Golf 64. Maybe you could do that if you're on a harsh slope. But yeah, that's something that adds a lot in this game, is just being able to have a lot of control over the way that the ball flies. And I think it makes it like a completely different experience to playing the older games. It's something that's quite new and fresh mechanics, and I think that's like, once I figured out these kind of things, which was only after my like initial playthrough of the game, it's actually become a lot more interesting to play it now. The gameplay in general, there are still some things that are a bit janky. Like, whatever lie you're in, you can pretty much just go straight up to the driver and you can hit however you want. As long as you've memorized like which kind of miss hits you're gonna get, you can hit pretty much any club from anywhere in this game and not be penalized for it. I don't know if that's really good or bad, because it doesn't, you have like no reason to avoid playing into hazards other than, you know, you might get stuck somewhere, and if you haven't got everything, like all the information you need to predict where your shot's gonna go, it is a bit more unreliable, and it can just be a bit more difficult to like know how the shot's gonna react if you're like on the edge of a bunker and it's going straight up in the air or whatever. With the mechanics in general for this game, I like that certain things, I think there are a lot of throwbacks to Mario Golf 64 in a lot of the mechanics. Like, for example, not that. Sorry, I accidentally hit L on my controller. Those special shots, definitely not in Mario Golf 64. I do like that the simulation line is only partial, because it means you have to think about where your ball is going to go. It's really difficult to see with where I'm standing now, but it slightly changes colour whether you're aiming up or down. And this game does put a lot of emphasis on how the ground is going to affect the flight of the ball, which is something that was super important in Mario Golf 64. Especially with how spin worked in Mario Golf 64. If you're on a slope that's to the left or right, you'd have to be really careful with any character that uses a fade or a draw shot, because the slope would amplify the natural spin on those shots, which means they're going to curve either a lot more or a lot less than you would expect them to. And the same thing is really true in this game, apart from the fact that in this game every character just shoots straight. But you still get the same effect with the ball curving off to the left or right if you're on sloped ground. It's not really easy to see that with where I'm currently positioned, but the power meter does lean slightly left or right depending on which way I'm aiming. And then you have the same thing where if you're angled down, and you're going downhill, you'll want to hit with a lot less power, and if you're angled up, you'll want to hit with more power. Those kind of things. So there is a lot to appreciate with the mechanics of this game. That some of those things were really obvious to me when I started playing the first time, but some of them I've sort of figured out since then. Something else I want to talk about is the way you unlock Star and Superstar club sets for for all of the characters. I don't really like the way that this is done because you have to do it through character points, which you can see on this screen for all of the characters. The way they're calculated is it takes the number of holes played and multiplies it by 10. The coins collected multiplied by 3, the birdies multiplied by 10, eagles multiplied by 20, albatrosses multiplied by 50, and holes in one multiplied by 100. And that's how you get the total number of character points that you've got. You have to get 3,000 to get the Superstar Club set. For every character, you have to do them all individually at 3,000 points. And this just feels way too grindy to me. I don't like grindy stuff in games. Which for me, that's mostly because I don't really have the time. Thankfully, in this game, there was a way to do it very quickly. Which if I look at some of these characters, you might be able to see what I did, which was that I just grinded a load of hole-in-ones. Because for me that was the most interesting way to do it quickly. What you can also do is just to restart holes over and over. If you take like 4 human-controlled characters and just continually restart the same game session, then it will add 10 points because it will count it as playing the first hole over and over. But I did that for a little while and I just found that way too boring. It's so repetitive and it wasn't really my thing, so I just grinded getting holes in one for most of these characters. And to be honest, that doesn't take very long once you have a reliable setup. What else is there to talk about? I guess the game in general. The courses, I think, are all good enough. I don't think any course is bad. I think they all have like pros and cons. I don't think there's really much to say about the courses. Like, in general, they're just good, I guess. I need to think about what I've actually talked about so far and what I need to actually mention. I guess there's online play, which I've really not had a good chance to do. When I've played online, it's mostly been like easy wins for me, and the other players quitting on the last hole for no particular reason. I haven't really had a good chance to play against people that I know. I might be playing some games against some other people from the Mario Golf community. We're trying to get something organized, so if I'm able to do that, that would be good, but I don't have too many comments on the online stuff right now. It's been a bit laggy when I played. Oh, right. So one of the main reasons I haven't really been playing it is because I wasn't like a huge fan of the multiplayer anyway. I guess I find the standard golf way more interesting at the moment. The special shots, they kind of are just very annoying when you're playing with other people. Speed golf, I'm actually quite disappointed with speed golf. I thought it was going to be so much better, but it turns out that you, at least in my experience, you're at much more of an advantage if you play slowly, make sure that you don't miss, and generally stay behind other players. You're probably going to do better in those situations than if you actually try and go as fast as possible, which to me seemed very counterintuitive, and I don't really like that. The other thing I'm not really able to talk about, motion controls. Let me see if I can set this up. I'll just see if I can demonstrate why I've not been able to use motion controls, which is kind of disappointing to me.
Ready?
So for one, I don't really know if I'm missing something, because I find it it's very difficult to get to detect that I'm even doing anything. Actually, it was working not too bad right then. But yeah, this is a huge issue for me. Because of my Joy-Cons having terrible Joy-Con drift, it's impossible for me to aim because a lot of the aiming is just the controller thinking that I'm pressing the joystick. Like, I'm not touching the joystick right now. If I'm holding right on the joystick right now and it's not moving. So yeah, motion controls sadly for me are basically unplayable. I didn't press up there, it just clubbed up by itself. Which is really disappointing to me. I was hoping there would be some way that I could control this without the Joy-Con drift being a huge factor in it. Unfortunately, there is no way for me to play this. Actually, I have no way. I don't even know how I can quit out of this. Because apparently even the minus button is not working. Oh yeah, by the way, because of the Joy-Con drift I might struggle to even get back to the menu. This is my Joy-Cons when I'm not touching them. It's absolutely great. can only say thank you, Nintendo, for creating the absolute worst controllers possible. So yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. I could spend a load of money on a new controller to play the game, but I don't know if it's worth it. So yeah, sadly motion controls for me are unplayable. So I guess I've probably talked about most of the things I wanted to say. I should revisit multiplayer at some point. At least the speed golf mode, to see if my opinions on it have changed at all after you know, learning a bit more about the game, understanding certain mechanics a bit better. We'll have to see about that. So, what do I think about the game overall? Overall, I think it's good. Once you start figuring things out, it becomes like way more interesting. I think from a casual perspective, it's probably worth playing. Just because I think the game does a decent job of explaining most of the mechanics. And although I do still feel the shot system, just the way it works in general is a bit simplified from previous games, because you don't have to do a lot with it to play quite well usually. It's more accessible for the casual, like, first time player, which I think is probably a good thing. A lot of people do seem to be enjoying it, which is what you want to see, really. Once you start learning the mechanics more, like I've mentioned a few times, there's a lot of depth to it from things like spin that you'll be picking up and learning about. So it does stay interesting as well. And for me, I think a lot of the replayability is probably just going to be in looking at improving, like, stuff in solo challenge, unless I can get more into the online stuff, but just my experience of that so far hasn't been so good. Like I said, I'll probably try and revisit that because I want to enjoy the multiplayer aspects of this game more than I have so far. And I hope that I can do that at some point. Yeah, I'm not sure what else I need to say at the moment, so probably just wrap up the video here. Hopefully it wasn't too messy. I've just kind of been saying whatever I can think of for the last half an hour. No doubt I will continue to revisit this, and depending on whether my opinions on the game change over time, which they probably will. Again, it's only a week old at the moment, and I'm still having fun with it, so that's good. Yeah, so I may do even more, like, reviewing of how I feel about the game in the future. At the moment, I'm still going to be streaming this on Twitch every so often, whenever I have the time. I'm very busy at the moment, so it's kind of difficult for me to put any any amount of time into it. I've been quite interested in speedrunning different courses, or just doing like the all courses run, which already we've been able to get the all courses time in this game to, like, I think Blue Candy's got it to 48 minutes this morning, or last night, whenever. Probably this morning for me, but you know, last night for anyone who's in the US. So yeah, that's looking like there's quite a lot of competition at the moment. A lot of people interested in this game. A lot of fun things to do with it. So yeah, I'll probably continue to stream more of this on Twitch. So if you want to see what I'm doing, feel free to go over there and watch the stream whenever I get a chance to go live. But for now, I think that'll be all for this video. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in a future video.